Hey, Sean here from speedcubereview.com. I like to often do a pseudo-cross. Now, the term pseudo-cross is not something that I really heard. I just kind of started using that term. I know I'm not the first person to ever do it, but let me kind of show you what it is. Basically, it's where you solve the cross, but you have two opposite edges swapped, which is much easier to fix because you just do M2, U2, M2. So let's go through a solve, and this is one that I did last year at some point. I just posted this online. Okay, so the cross is already made, except we have an edge in the wrong spot here and this balloon over here. So you could finish the cross correctly by doing something like D2 R prime, D2 R, and possibly doing this insertion of the edge to make an X cross. But instead of solving that, I wanted to go right into solving this and looking at this pair, and I wanted to save a couple moves at the beginning. So I just did R prime, inserted that edge, and then D2. And then I can go right into this
other pair here, and into this, and I did something along the lines of this to orient the edges.
And at the end, you end up getting often cases that you can solve the pseudo-cross and other pieces at the same time. Now, this is not something you'd want to do every single solve. It's not inherently better than doing the cross. It actually adds an extra step by fixing that at the end. However, there are a lot of benefits to it. You could use it to affect the OLL. However, using it to affect the PLL is a little bit better. There's almost no time that you would want to actually do it for OLL unless there's some wacky case that you don't like, but other than that, it's good for PLL. Now, if you orient the edges and do something like COLL, this could be even better. So what I want to do is put together some algorithms to solve the two edges in the pseudo-cross and the last layer. Now, I feel like this is something that everyone should learn how to do. There's not many cases, there's not many options, there's not a lot of cases, and once in a while it might just be much easier to make a pseudo-cross. The benefit of the fewer moves and jumping right into first two layers could outweigh solving the cross completely at the beginning. So let's go through some of these cases. Now, what's nice is this case here, where you can solve it with M2, U2, M2, is going to happen 1/6 of the time if you solve the corner. So if you do COLL, that's going to happen 1/6 of the time, which is a really nice way to end the solve. I listed on my website a few different options for algorithms, and I do need to thank a couple people on Facebook who helped me with a couple of them that I either just didn't think of because I wasn't thinking clearly, or gave me completely new ones that I didn't know of. So the other case that's really easy to recognize is this one, where you just have two adjacent edges swapped. Everything else is solved except for that. So what I just did there to solve it was I did sexy move, and then M2, U2, M2, and then U prime, R, U prime, R prime. There's a few other options for this. One that's kind of fun is doing M2, U2, and then you do wide U moves. So U, M prime, U2, M prime, U, and then M2, U2. Now, I'm not a big fan of these wide U moves, but it definitely is fun, as long as I don't mess that up. Okay, and there's only three other cases you could have. And this is where you have four edges out of place on top. One of them is going to be easy to recognize because on two sides, you will have opposite colors, meaning red and orange and blue and green. So opposite colors on those sides. And you put it on the back and the right. So no matter how you put it, you just want it on the back and the right here. And the algorithm of M2U, M, U2, M prime, U prime, M2, and then a U2 to finish. This is actually really easy to memorize because it's just like the U prime algorithms if you do those, but instead of just doing the regular algorithm, one of the U moves is regular and one is counterclockwise. Like that. The other two cases, you won't have any opposite colors. So for example, here you can see orange and green, red and green, blue and red, blue and orange. None of those are opposite colors. None of those are blue and green or orange and red. And this algorithm is really nice. So what you're going to look for is if the edges need to move clockwise or counterclockwise. And basically, whichever way they're going to move, your U moves are going to be opposite that. So for example, this needs to go clockwise, so my U moves are going to be counterclockwise. And it's M prime, U prime, M2, U prime, M2, U prime, M. And the other way is if they need to go counterclockwise, I do U moves. So M prime U, M2 U, M2 U, M. Whoop, I did an M prime there. Okay, so these need to go counterclockwise, and M prime U, M2 U, M2 U, M. Now that's if you have edge PLLs. If you don't do COLL and you just do regular OLL, this also gives you options to adjust algorithms. So for example, if you have this case where it's all solved here, you have a couple options. You could do M2 and then just do an F permutation, M2. Or right here, you could just do U, M2, U prime, then a T perm, and then U, M2, U prime. And of course, instead of doing that, you could just do U, then M2, U2, M2, and then do a T perm. And all of these M2s you can do like that. Or you can be a little bit fancier and do the R prime, then wide R and M move. Okay, so another option that you will run into with this is this case. Whenever you have an N permutation, whether it's NA or NB, you will have this. And you could just do M2, U2, M2, and then the NB perm, however you prefer to do this. Or you could do what is the first half of the Y perm, and then U, M2, U2, M2, U, in the second half of the Y perm. One other tip is that when you just have headlights and nothing else, you could try to sit and analyze and figure out what you could get if you did M2, U2, M2 this way or this way. But the general rule is if you have headlights, just put them on the left or the right and do M2, U2, M2. Because that'll usually give you an R permutation, a T, or maybe a G. If you put the headlights in front or in back and do it, you're pretty much guaranteed to get a G perm. And unless you really like G perms, I personally prefer T or R a little bit more. So I'm calling these algorithms PPLL, meaning pseudo-cross PLL, because pseudo actually starts with a P. Someone mentioned that they kind of did something where they called it M2 PLL. That's also nice as well. I just like the way PPLL flows, but M2 PLL also works. Let me know in the comment section which one you prefer. But I haven't really seen anyone talk about this. I hope to make a page on the speed solving forum with more information on pseudo-cross algorithms. If there's anything you think that could be on here or should be on here as alternate variations or other algorithms that you think will just work really well with it, let me know. Like I said, this isn't something that you would do every single solve. Solving the cross normally will usually be better, but when you can just solve a pseudo-cross really fast and move right onto the first two layers, often that transition will save more time in the long run than trying to solve the cross completely at the very beginning. So thank you very much. Leave your thoughts and questions in the comment section below. Hit like, subscribe for more content like this in the future, and it's always taught by speedcubeview.com for more news and reviews.